Praise the Lord, saints.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, saints.
Praise the Lord.
Y'all kind of dull on me. Praise the Lord, saints.
Praise the Lord.
God is worthy to be praised. I'm going to be coming from, this is just quick. I'm going to make this quick. If God says the same, but I'm coming from Romans 12:1. And God really put this on my heart for our young people because I had a rebellious spirit. And I didn't want to admit up to it until God brought me to the altar. And I had a rebellious spirit, so I'm trying to catch young people before they get to that age, before they have the rebellious spirit, so they can make decisions for themselves. So, Romans 12:1 reads, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And then verse 2 says, and be not conformed. And be not conformed, which means influence or motive. So be not conformed to this world. And you can live in this world, but not be of the world. So be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove which is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So, and that means like I had a rebellious spirit in my heart when I was younger. And I didn't want to admit up to it. I was scared to talk to other people about God because I was scared what they were going to think, what they were going to say. But now I don't care what people have to say no more because it's my salvation and my righteousness is a vain if I don't speak up. So I've been worshiping and thinking, and God's been putting these in my heart. And it says right here in Ephesians 6:1-3, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which means you give your mother and father honor. It means you obey them, because if you don't obey them, it means you disobeying God as well, because that's in his word and it's in his covenant. So with that, it says, come to the Lord. He would teach you to fear him. When you disobey your parents, you're disobeying God. So when you're disobedient, that's when you won't be blessed. So if you're disobedient, you won't get your blessing that God has for you. And if you miss your blessing, you can't get it back. And then I have right here, it says, I've been praying day in and day out. And I was at a service in Danville not too long ago, and they had a conference going on, and he was talking about the theme of the conference was, Lord, I will be the sacrifice if you provide the fire. And you all as the elderly people and the parents of your children, you have to be that sacrifice for God to provide that fire in their heart. So in order for that, you have to guide your children and your nephews, nieces, and cousins. You have to push them to the right way. You can't let them make decisions on their own, because if they make a decision on their own, they're liable to make the wrong decision. So in that, you have to push them. And even when they starting to move a certain way, you have to bring your hand in and guide them back. And if they start moving this way too far, you have to bring your hand and guide them back this way, because the blood is on your hands if you do not guide them the right way, because that's your son and that's God's children. And this generation is the next future. And you have to think for the future. If we guide our children in certain ways, in certain paths, those children may be blessed and they will be blessed. And then they will do the will of God by themselves. They won't have to have nobody to tell them, oh, I will praise the Lord right now. No.
That's true.
Because I heard somebody say, if you think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for you, my soul will cry out, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
No matter what. And I just got a quick testimony before I finish up. I was at work the other day, and I was just talking to this sister that I've seen, and God just kept pointing me towards her. And I was talking to her, and I asked God before she went on her lunch, I said, God, should I ask her that she go to church? And I sat down in my stool, and I was like, God, show me an answer, give me an answer, and see if I should ask her if she should go to church. And he gave me an answer. He said, go ahead and ask her. And I asked her, I said, did you go to church? She said, yes. And I asked her where she went and all of that, and she told me. And I was like, and then we began to testify to each other, and she told me she got pregnant at 17 years old, and she was homeless with a newborn. And when I say God, we started a fellowship in God, because I didn't care what other people was thinking, what people was saying as I was walking by, because her testimony had touched my heart. Because anybody who's 17 and has a newborn that was homeless, that's a blessing to come from that. Because the devil tried to destroy her yoke and try to destroy her and herself and her joy, try to steal her joy, so she wouldn't be able to praise God. But I started to talk to her, and there was this guy that everybody says he's a devil worshiper that I work with, and he began to listen. He was like, what are y'all talking about over here? I said, we're talking about God. And he gave me a look like, you talking about God? I said, yes, I'm talking about God. And I said, it doesn't matter what you think. I said, and then I started speaking to him. And he said, yeah, I had a rebellious spirit. I'm rebelling for my parents because my parents is ministers. And little did I know, I said, my parents is ministers too, and I was rebellious at one point. And then I started to talk to him more and more and more as I was talking to him. His eyes lit up and real big, and I started talking about God. And he said, brother, and I didn't even ask if I could pray for him. He said, brother, pray for me. He said, pray for me every day that I might come back to the Lord. And I said a fellowship and a worship of God, I began to praise God right where I was at, because that was his heart crying out to God, saying, God, save me from what I'm doing. And I know if God didn't save me from what I was doing, I wouldn't be here right now speaking this message right now. So y'all pray my strength in the Lord.
Amen. Can we give God a hand for what he's done in this young man's life? Did an awesome job speaking. And young people, I hope you heard what he said. Talked about rebellion, but he also talked about presenting our bodies a living sacrifice.